All right, so we are looking at Chapter 7, Case 3. This chapter looks at payroll. Now notice one of the reasons I like this textbook is because it looks at doing payroll in a way that does not require you to actually purchase the payroll feature on QuickBooks Online. So it saves you a little bit of money doing it this way. All right, so you need 2 new accounts, and that's that first step for Case 3. It says add 2 new accounts like you did in the chapter, payroll expense and payroll tax payable, which is a liability. So the first account I have up here, payroll expenses. Of course, I selected expenses. I'm going to save the account under payroll expenses, and the tax form section is payroll expenses. Then I put the account name, payroll, and save. The other account that we need to create, like we said, is payroll tax payable. So that's a liability. Again, I already added this account in here, but let me pull it up for you so you can see it. So this one, like we said, it's a liability. So it goes under other current liabilities, tax form section, payroll tax payable, and account name, payroll tax payable. Save, and now you have your 2 new accounts. All right, then you have your employees. So under payroll here, we have employees. Now, this is where you could turn on that additional feature. But all we need to do is just start adding employees here. So I'm going to click add an employee, simple link, right? And then when it says, do you need to pay employees? Do you want to get this QuickBooks payroll option? Say not right now. All right, so here's our new employee page. All right, so our first new employee is Kyra Jennings. It gives me an address for her, which we should always have an address for all of our employees, in addition to other required information, of course. So I'm filling this out, all the information I have. And we have an employee ID number, which is going to go down here to our additional information, employee ID. That number is 556 33 3467. All right, so then I save. And there's my first employee. I'm going to add my next. Again, not right now. We have Jedi Vu. Street address 2323 First Street, Majala. An employee ID number. All right, so I have 2 employees added in. Payroll is paid twice a month, it says, on the 16th and on the last day of each month. All right, so on step 5, it says you're going to record the payroll like you did in the chapter for the 16th of the month. Now, because of the date it is now, I'm going to go ahead and switch forward to the next month. I'm going to go ahead and say it's July, so that way we can keep up with those dates of the month. And so you'll see that here when I plug in that check. All right, but I want to point out, you really have to look at the case study here. Those numbers, make sure you don't get them confused. If you're having to flip back and look back at the chapter, you're looking at entering this information for case 3. So it gives you in this figure 7.20, the pay tax withholding of Kyra, Jedi, and then the total. Those are the different columns. Notice the different rows there. Now, I wish I could show you this. I don't have my ebook pulled up, so it's not on my screen. I'm looking at my physical textbook here, but you should have it in front of you as well. So looking at that table, the different rows, notice some of them are bold. Those bolded rows, those are the ones you really need to pay attention to. Those are the numbers we're bringing over. All right, so we're going to use checks number 326 and 327. After recording each employee's check, be sure to designate it as a recurring transaction. All right, so let's do this. So when we're paying our employees, we have to write them checks. They gave us check numbers very clearly. I'm going to go new check. I'm going to pay Kyra first. That was the first employee I listed, and that's the first employee in the table if you're reading left to right. So I'm going to plug in Kyra, however you want to say that, as my payee. And as I said, this is the 16th of the month. Since it's already past the 16th of June, I'm going to go ahead and say, guess what? We are in July now. It doesn't really matter. We know in real life we would be entering them when they actually happened. So this is just a kind of make-believe scenario here. The check number, I want to double check here. This should be check number 326. If it is not, that could be maybe you have some checks that you had to avoid previously. If you had to, maybe there was an error that you had to fix, but otherwise your check number should be 326. This is a good sign here that you might need to look back and see what you did if your check numbers don't match up. Okay, so entering in the information here. Now we know it's not going to have anything to do with inventory, right? We're just paying our employees. And so we can kind of close that item details area. We're looking at category details, okay? And our first category or account is going to be payroll. Okay, so I have payroll expenses here, and that amount is going to be the gross pay. So that's that first bolded number in the column for Kyra. Gross pay is $2,000 here. But then we have to take out those taxes, right? So payroll tax payable is the second account that we list. Now this amount is going to be that second bolded number there in the column. Excuse me, sorry, my phone started ringing. Should have had that on silent. Okay, so that number here for Kyra is going to be 427. That's the employee withholding. What taxes get withheld from that employee? But that employee is responsible for payroll taxes. But then we know that the employer, us, our company, we have to pay taxes as well. So that's going to go under payroll expenses also, but we're going to go ahead and take that right back out, put it in payroll tax payable. So we're setting it aside. So when it comes time to pay our quarterly taxes, we have that money set aside in payroll tax payable. It hasn't been touched. It hasn't been spent. We can go ahead and pay those taxes on time. So that number, that third number, the employer payroll tax expense, the $153, that's what we're using. We're going to come in here and put payroll expenses again. That number, 153, and then payroll tax payable in the same amount. Now, this is a very large check. This is not accurate, right? If you look at the gross pay or the net check amount, we know that's wrong because I wanted to wait and show you this. So the payroll tax payable, that's a liability that comes out of the check. So we have to put minus signs there. All right. Then after we apply that, we see our total amount, $1,573. Looking at the table, figure 7.20, that is the net check amount of what gets paid to Kyra on the 16th of the month. So we're all matched up and we can save and close if we were done. But remember, it said to make sure you make this recurring. We're going to have to pay her again, and we're going to want to go ahead and just be able to pull up a recurring transaction, update some numbers if necessary, and submit that. So before I hit save and close, I'm going to hit make recurring down here at the bottom. Okay, so this is going to be unscheduled, so that way I can go through and schedule it when I need to. And I'm going to hit save template. So now I saved the template, but I didn't actually submit the check. I need to go back to that template. Where am I going to find it? That's the question. So I have to find my recurring transactions. That's under the gear icon. Go to recurring transactions under lists. And here I have that check, that recurring transaction, the template, and I say I want to use that. There you go, date 16th, save and close. So there's my first payroll check. Now I'm going to do the same thing again for Jedi Vu, our other employee. So I'm going to go new check. I'm going to select Jedi, the employee, as the payee. And again, I'm going to go payroll. Expenses here is my category. The amount is the gross pay, which is $1,190. I have payroll tax payable. Remember, this one is a negative number. That's the employee withholding. And then I have to figure my employee, excuse me, employer payroll tax expense. So again, I put payroll expenses. That amount, $91.04. Put that right over to payroll tax payable, same amount, but this time with a minus in front of it. It's a negative. Okay, so now check the amount, $935.93. That matches Jedi's net check amount. And again, I'm going to make this a recurring, unscheduled transaction. Save that template. I already had my recurring transactions tab open, so now I can use this and save and close. All right, so there's your first two payroll checks. The next step is to do that again. This time you are paying for the end of the month, and so it's going to be the 31st. Now I do want to show you, we already created them. So all I have to do is hit use this template again. Change that date. Now because I'm in July, I'll be using July 31st, 2022. All right, and so I changed that date. I'm going to check the amounts. Now Kyra is salary, so that means that she gets the same amount every pay period. So this does not actually need to be updated. I'm just verifying with the book to be sure it is all matches. Hit save and close. Jedi's template is here. She is not salary, so we're going to have to update a few of these numbers here. So payroll expense, her gross pay is $1,275 this time. The payroll tax payable, then the employee withholding is going to be minus $272.22. And then the employer, $97.54 and minus $97.54. All right, double check here my net amount. Now, if anyone wants to a little kind of dorky way to remember gross pay versus net pay, think of like how the ocean, there's all kinds of dirt and grime and fish pee in it, and it's dirty, it's gross, right? It's the whole ocean though. That's the gross, everything. So that's everything you make, everything that is owed to you. But then after they take out taxes and everything else, net is what you catch in your net, what you get to take home with you. All right, so the net pay here is the total amount of the check, $1,002.78. That is correct. And I can save and close. And then all you have to do is open up those reports so you can submit them into Canvas for me to grade. Let me know if you have any questions, but that's chapter 7, case 3. Thank you very much.